I operate very relationship centered, meaning there's two people. We both come with our own sets of experiences, our own sets of knowledge, our own sets of biases, and therefore we should both be contributing to the rehabilitative process. Yes, I very much have a depth of knowledge of, pain neuroscience, biomechanics, neurophysiology, biology, all these things, but I don't understand your life the way that you do. And so we both need to be co-creative and collaborative in our efforts to design a program that fits with your lifestyle, which you know about, but implements expertise or movement strategies or muscle activation strategies that I might bring to the table. And then having a discussion for what our touch points need to be and what our sessions need to involve. And that's going to be different for different people. And that's what I love about my job. It's always a different subset of circumstances, and every rehabilitation session will look different depending on the needs of that person in that moment, on that day. And it's just the nature of life that shit happens. And by having more fluidity to the way you approach your care, meeting the person where they're at in that day, then you can respond to the needs of that person more effectively in that moment, instead of the preconceived sort of cookie cutter, this is what we're going to do, lay down, I got you, let me rub it out today, no big deal. So it needs to be more collaborative.
The crux of what you're talking about here really is coming down to communication and building a therapeutic alliance. And I know that what I hear from a lot of our grads, and particularly those, that are working in more of a clinical setting, or with clients with persisting pain, is the client, the low self-efficacy client, for want of a better word, the client who's like, I've had enough of this. I need someone just to fix it for me. I'm not feeling heard. I'm not feeling all of these things. Fix it for me. How do you work? Because what are some tips on how to build self-efficacy in the class? Like, what do you do in regards to that setting, the communication? What are some ways? Because I'm assuming you've got different communication techniques depending on the client that's presenting in front of you and the individual human. And, you'll have the client that's like, hell yeah, I'm so ready to, let's just go. Whatever you give me, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to, religiously do those exercises that you give me at home, and et cetera. And then you've got the client that is like coming in going, I know, I need you to adjust my back, or I need you to I need you to fix this pain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not an easy answer like that.
Yeah, no, I don't expect it to be easy.
You're asking the hard question, but so, I mean, building self-efficacy is a hell of a beast when you're, given what you've just said. Like if we are considering a person who's, living with persistent pain, not living well, like not having a good go of it.
Yeah.
They're oftentimes people with complex pain presentations that are persisting often have very complex lives and a lot going on. Like, it's not always the case, but generally speaking, complex presentations often come from complex lives and histories. So when you see a person like that and they're just despairing and hopeless and just they can't see a way forward, I mean, it has to start with listening and just letting them explain their situation, explain their frustrations, and then echoing those things back to them. Like, really using, hopefully this isn't going to confuse your audience, but like cognitive empathy skills, which is the ability to put yourself in their shoes. So, but hearing their full experience. And emotional empathy is when you take on the experience and the feelings of another. So why it's useful is you can actually experience in your own body what they're going through in that moment. And so it helps you better understand their circumstances. But I'm going to give one example of something I do, Chloe, like just because for people who see no capacity for change and that they are just like, forget it, like there's no point to even trying. What I usually help them understand in terms of understanding a process for change is think of something in your life that you are already very much an expert in. Like something that maybe you went to school for, or you have a career in, or maybe it's a hobby of interest. And then I ask, like, what did it take? What did it take for you to get to that level? And what it does then is it gets them very much in a forward-thinking sort of, puts them in the driver's seat, puts them in a creative thinking mode, helping them understand that, okay, this actually was a lot of work. Not only was it a lot of work, it was a lot of work over a long period of time. I probably went through some failures. I learned from my mistakes. I got back on the horse. I tried again. I failed again. I put the reps in. I maybe asked other people for help. And so I talked to them about things that they know themselves to be part of their lived experience, that they have experience with. And then I just reframe it and say, well, why don't we apply those same principles, those same set of circumstances, and that same orientation to this challenge that we're facing? How is that any different? Like how could we, and it's very quickly, then it gets them away from everything that's fucking wrong, and puts them in a creative, solution-oriented thinking mode, which is what rehabilitation needs. Like, change is hard.